Welcome to Change, sponsored by the Senior Barn of Schaumburg, located at 231 Civic Drive, where nutritious meals, friendly peers, and social activities are available during the week under the able guidance of Marina Lvovich. My name is Rosemary Colbert, your host for the Change program. I am happily married to Dennis, and we have 6 children, and today is our anniversary, 25 years. Congratulations to Rosemary and Dennis. Although we both grew up in Chicago, we have been residents of Schaumburg for 27 years, and we wouldn't want to live anyplace else. Let's meet our panelists who will introduce themselves now.
My name is Ross Montana. I grew up in Chicago. Moved to Schaumburg in about 64, I think.
Oh, he's
married,
a native.
53 years. Have 2 wonderful daughters, 4 grandchildren, and 1 great-granddaughter. And it's a fantastic area we live in, Schaumburg.
It is,
okay,
isn't it?
They say it's number 3 in the world. I'll say it's number 1.
Thank you, and Pat.
Hi, my name is Pat Draper. I also am a resident of Schaumburg for over 25 years. I grew up in Chicago, have 2 sons, 5 grandchildren, and 5 great-grandchildren. My claim of fame was I was once a used to do market research, interviewing people on products. And that was a lot of fun. Got to meet a lot of interesting people that way.
Interesting. And how about you, Dennis?
Yes, I've been married to Rosemary, and this is unusual because the 25th anniversary, and I had 25 years with my first wife, and then she passed away. And my first wife and I had 3 children, and the grandchildren, I have 3 grandchildren too. I worked for Marshall Fields. I was a tractor-trailer driver. I delivered furniture. I was in Schaumburg area delivering furniture a lot.
Okay, thank you. Today our show will focus on driving. Did you know that roads were first made for bicyclists, not cars? In 1913, Henry Ford introduced the conveyor belt assembly lines at Ford Motor Company's Highland Park, Michigan factory, which revolutionized automobile manufacturing. President Eisenhower was the father of our present interstate system in the 1950s. After he became president, he was impressed by the Autobahn system in Germany, and he thought it would facilitate movement of military ordnance if we ever had another war. The corollary to that is it also encouraged the spread of suburbs when people could drive further out. Although it was a long time coming, female drivers now slightly outnumber our male counterparts. And that's good to know because I remember when it was the man of the house who did all the driving. So, driving has definitely changed over the years, but we would like to hear your stories. What mode of transportation did you and your family use growing up?
I can remember the streetcars.
Trolley cars down the middle of the road.
Yes.
When we were kids,
Yes.
when we would get off, we would sneak around the back and pull the cord and make it pop off.
Because
and
they
then
were electric.
Now they had to get back on. I also remember these streets, especially Clark Street in Chicago, they were all bricks. There was
Yes.
No, there was no
tar,
right.
no
yes.
pavement.
No, the cement.
So it goes back a while.
Well, did you have a car when you were young, your family, or no?
No, I wasn't. I come from a poor family. We couldn't afford the cars
You didn't
at
have
that time.
So you used public transportation?
Got my first car. I married my wife. She was 18 and I was 20. My father had to sign for me because we went down for our license. We already paid for the church and the hall and everything. So we couldn't change it. And we get down there and the judge goes, sorry, can't give you a license. I says, what are you talking about? She's 18. He says, no, you're too young. I had to bring my father down the following day to sign for us. And my first car, her father gave it to us about a year after we were married. He bought a new one.
So that was your first car
Yeah,
in your,
it was a Ford
that you
Fairlane.
ever had in your family.
Right. And my wife taught me to drive, stick.
And she already knew how to
Oh,
drive.
yeah, she knew how to drive.
See that? How about you, Pat?
Like Ross, our family didn't have a car growing up in Chicago, so it was either walk, ride your bike, even roller skate over to visit a friend, or
the
public
trolley
transportation,
cars,
the
right.
trolley, and then eventually the bus.
The bus, right.
The one I didn't like, trolley, was the Madison Avenue one, the Green Hornet.
Yes.
Oh, that
I used
came
to get-
later.
That
used
was
to
good.
get
Yeah,
sick on
yeah,
that one.
that came
It just
later, right.
jerked too much.
So when did you get your first car?
When I was married, my husband had this brilliant idea that I should learn how to drive. We were going out west on our honeymoon, and so he had a stick shift, which I never was able to master. Always wouldn't remember, put in the clutch when you put on the brake. So while practicing driving out in Addison years ago, before it was built up, it was all country, we would go out, and I would constantly kill the motor because I didn't put in the clutch, and I would shut off the lights, start the car. Well, after doing this several times, a police car appeared behind us, and he asked me to get out of the car. Are you in trouble? And I looked at him and, what are you talking about? And I said, well, I'm trying to learn how to drive, and I keep killing the motor. Okay, he thought maybe I was trying to warn him by flashing the lights. So get back in the car, and my husband says, okay, let's go. And I said, no, you drive, you drive. No, and he insisted I drive. So I started off, peeled rubber, sprayed gravel up on the police car, and I never drove again after that for maybe 10 years.
Thank you, Pat. We will be back after this short break. Welcome back to Change. We are talking about driving. And we left off with Pat's first experience with her driving, and now we'll have Dennis tell his story.
Yeah, we used public transportation, but my folks were older, and I couldn't wait to buy my first car. And I bought a 49 Studebaker Land Cruiser. Ugly looking thing, but it rode around it. Anyways, I got my driver's license, and on my birthday the following year, after I had gotten my license, I got my first ticket, right on the birthday. Do you remember that the driver's license was paper? It was just paper, and it was kind of like typed in. Anyways, my Studebaker ran out of oil on the S-curve of Lakeshore Drive with 4 guys that didn't know anything. Well, they didn't even help me push it. I left it right there on Lakeshore Drive. Whatever happened to the Studebaker, I don't know. But used car lots were all over in Chicago. So the next one after that, I bought a 1950 Plymouth convertible. That one, I
How
made
old-
sure it had oil.
How old were you, Dennis?
16, 17,
Oh,
in that
wow.
range. Yeah.
So you see, you could do that in those days. Who
Yeah.
taught you to drive?
My dad, he knew how to drive, but he just,
But you didn't have a car growing up either.
Right.
You had to use public transportation.
in the early years, but I wanted one to go into high school.
Yeah.
And the Plymouth, again, going 90 miles an hour on Route 66, 2 pistons collided together, and I didn't have a car for another 6 months. So I was learning fast about.
Well, as a matter of fact, in 1902, the first speeding ticket was issued, and most cars could barely reach 45 miles an hour, so I don't know what they
What they
were
were
possibly
speeding.
going at 45 miles an hour. Do you remember your first accident?
No, but I've had a few of them. Okay, I don't want to remember.
Who was at fault?
Honestly, I don't remember that quite either. I think I was on the first time. Okay, I didn't stop fast enough. Okay.
Okay.
They never taught me to stop. They said go. So I admit it.
How about you, Pat?
My first and only accident going around O'Hare Airport, traffic came to a stop. I stopped and sitting there, and I looked in the rearview mirror and saw this limo coming up behind me, and the only thing I could think of, he's not going to stop.
And he didn't.
And he didn't until he hit me.
They didn't have seatbelts in those days.
No, we didn't.
No seatbelts.
Yeah.
And I finally found out what whiplash was.
Oh.
I had heard of it, and I thought, oh, no, I had it.
How about you, Den? Did you have any accidents
I had
other than when you had your cars blowing up on you?
I hit a dog once in Tennessee.
Oh.
And I had my mother in the car, and out of the hills, out of the hollers, this 2 or 3 black guys came down the hill and said, "You should have just hit the dog." I said, "I did." But what I did is I tore the underneath of a
the carriage?
1956 Ford. Yeah, the one that I was using to go to high school. Yeah, so after that it was.
Well, what about your experience with teaching your children or grandchildren when they were growing up? Did you teach them? Did they go to driver's ed?
I never did. They had
No?
driver's ed.
Both my
Both
wife
of
and I
them?
both taught both my
You
daughters.
taught both your daughters?
Yeah.
And
My husband taught the 2 boys. I don't think I would have had the patience that he did. If he could teach me how to drive, he can teach anyone.
Yeah. So did they have cars before they got married then?
Yes.
They didn't wait long like we
No,
did after
no.
our marriage,
No,
right?
and first husband was in the service, and when he got back from Korea, he bought a Studebaker Champion, which was a stick shift. And that's what I was trying to learn how to drive.
Yeah. How about you, Dad? Did you teach your kids how to drive?
No, they learned themselves. Well, they were teaching them in high school at that time,
Yeah.
It was better that I didn't teach them to drive, you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, now, what about when you went on trips? Who did the major part of the driving when you were married with your
My
family?
husband did until my boys were older, and then the 3 of them would shift off, and I would just sit in the back seat.
enjoying yourself?
Right. Look at the scenery, read a
Yeah.
magazine.
I
By-
think my wife and I would share it.
Yeah.
Okay, and we've covered, I would say, 80% of the United States.
Wow. So you drove every place
We
too?
drove, yes. Even in the
Yeah.
mountains, loved it.
Yeah. Did you stay in motels? Did you have a camper?
Well, we had a camper and
Yeah.
we pulled it along.
Yeah. We had a camper
We
too.
did that once in
right.
Texas, and they just bought that new computer system that you hook to your car and tells you where to go.
Oh,
And
this
we're
is
driving and
GPS,
driving, and
yeah.
Texas is kind of big.
big.
And then you get to the point and it says, end of day. It's end of day, yeah. We're out no place. Okay, what are you supposed to? Can't find the road, you know. So
Well-
that was an experience.
Well, that's with the
Didn't-
GPS.
Yeah, the GPS
So
came out.
you're coming current now,
Yeah,
because
oh,
there
yeah.
was a time on Route 66. I mean, it was not a high speed. I mean, 55 miles an hour was pretty much the limit in those days.
You should try Germany on the Autobahn.
Well, that's 90
And
miles.
motels back
Sure.
then were not
Yeah.
I
what
was
they
going
are now.
100.
They had travel lodges.
And
Yes,
we
they
had little wooden cabinets.
That's what
that-
they called a travel lodge,
Yeah.
right?
Those are nice.
But charming. They still have some of those on Route 66 that they've tried to keep up so people can use them now for nostalgia, you know? How about you, Den? Did you go on trips with the kids, and who did you share the driving, or?
Yeah, we all, well, not with the kids, but with my first wife, we shared the driving, and just like we're going to be sharing the driving on
when
this
we
next
go to
trip.
Texas, right, the end of the month.
Yeah.
Okay, we will be right back after the break. Welcome back to Change. We are talking about driving. Everything changes as we get older, and driving is no exception. Have your driving habits changed as you've grown older? And have you been able to adapt to the newer vehicles?
Yes, without a doubt. Much easier. Actually, I think you have less accidents. You might have, number-wise might be up because there's more people driving. But no, the newer cars are superior to the old ones. You don't have that carburetor system anymore.
Right.
Where it would,
Fuel injection.
Fuel
Yes.
injection, that was a major input.
Yeah.
So I would say yes, big change. I can imagine what my children are going to see 50 years from now.
Well, that's when they're going to be self-driving cars.
Right.
Yeah.
Park themselves.
Yeah,
Yes.
park themselves. And now we just saw on the news that the rear view for backing up is going to be compulsory.
Oh, that would be great.
Yeah.
That I would really love to have on my car. I've got an '03, and that wasn't available then. But if I get a new car,
Yeah.
Well, do you still use public transportation at all?
No, I do not.
I have.
Not at all?
No.
To go into Chicago, I still like to go to the theater downtown.
The train?
So the train into Union Station, grab a cab to the theater, grab a cab back to Union
So
Station.
no CTA buses or anything, just the
No,
cab?
and to pay for
Right.
parking in the city, forget it.
Yeah, it's very expensive. But you know what? Last year we went to downtown Chicago, and we took the train the first couple of days, but with 5 of us, it became cheaper to take the car.
Oh, that way, yeah.
Yeah.
No,
yeah.
if it's just 1 or 2 of you,
Right.
it's, on the weekend, it's
half price,
reduced
right.
price. So it's a
Well, you
lot
know,
easier.
there's people now, like seniors, that can't drive anymore. So Schaumburg is a great place to live for seniors, especially in need of public transportation. In Schaumburg, we have $1 a ride for the village's PACE bus, and then we have the township senior bus that takes you anywhere in the township area. And then, so that opens the door to people with macular degeneration who have their license, or the disabled people who can't get a license. And we're very fortunate that Schaumburg offers so many public modes of transportation.
I understand they also offer cab service
Yes.
at a reduced rate.
Yes.
I've never tried it.
Yes, especially for doctor's appointments and things like that. Yeah.
Well, it's something to consider because I know there's going to come a day where I can't drive.
Right.
The Schaumburg bus system, it's strictly kept in Schaumburg, except if you do have a doctor's appointment out of Schaumburg, they will
They
take
will
you.
take you.
That's
Oh,
right.
well, see,
They
now
will
that's
pick you up
another
and bring you
that's
back.
marvelous.
Okay,
Yeah.
otherwise they try to stay within the city limits.
Yeah, and you can't blame them because
No.
otherwise,
Oh, yeah.
what would be nice though is if more of the villages around us could adopt
Adopt
a
to it?
program
Right, yeah.
that would
To share,
combine,
yes.
yeah, so one can leave off and the other one
Right.
could pick up. That's the one thing we had in the city
Right.
where you could go. You never needed a car. And I think a lot of the youngsters now, if I understand correctly, they're not buying cars in the city now. They just use Uber or
Uber is a
public
big thing for the younger
transportation,
crowd,
yeah.
yeah.
Or they walk or use bicycles.
Yeah.
And now
Yeah,
they,
was it divvy bikes?
well, now they have the drop-off bikes. They just started that you could pick them up and just drop them. Although
Oh,
I
so you
don't,
don't have to
stations.
bring them back.
you don't
Yeah.
have to no, just drop them like. But they're going to stipulate where you can leave them. But when I was young, of course, it was one foot in front of the other every
Right,
place unless I
yes,
took the
yes.
bus.
It's amazing how much walking we did when we were
Yes,
younger.
and it was good for us. Yes.
We didn't know it. That was the only way we
We
could
didn't have
get anywhere.
We didn't have a choice.
We
either.
never thought it was a hardship. We were just glad to get where we were going. If we
Right,
wanted
yeah.
to go,
Or
we had to do
Or the
it.
good old bicycle.
Yes.
I learned on my brother's two-wheeler with that bar. I never had a bike of my own.
Oh, yeah. See, I
So-
didn't either, and I could never ride a bike when I was young. It was very hard for me. I had weak legs, and I still do.
You talked about your driving habits changed. I remember now, I don't like to drive at night. Oncoming headlights bother me.
A lot of
I'll
seniors.
drive anywhere in the daytime, but at night, here in our area, okay, but to go like Arlington Heights or Elk Grove Village, nah.
No, I agree, especially if you don't know, if you're not
Right,
familiar with the
right.
area where you got to read the signs.
Right.
Denny, of course, is very good driving at night. He usually doesn't have problems. He's better with it than I am.
Okay.
But of course, we haven't done it in a long time. Now we go to the library and back. That's our other home, our Schaumburg Library. But it's wonderful.
My other home is the barn.
And the barn. You know,
But that's daytime, so I
between
could
the
get
barn and the Schaumburg Library, that's pretty much our social life other than volunteering. It's
They
and
have,
the nature center. Yes.
They have so many in Schaumburg area. You got one in Hoffman Estates. You got them in Hanover Park, Streamwood.
Yes, yes. We're
Roselle.
very fortunate.
CRC is just
Yeah.
phenomenal. Okay, and it's the people is what make the change.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
if you have a serious problem and you want to try to get over it, I would say go to one of them.
Yes.
Okay,
yes,
you'll
yes,
meet people.
especially if you have a loss
Yes,
in your
yes,
family.
right.
Or yes. Well, especially with the barn, it's almost like going
Right.
home to your family when you
Yeah.
get there after you've been there a few times.
Yeah, you have your own little group that you
Yes.
kind of have a tendency to sit with all the time, which in one way is good, in another way you really should
But
get up and
it's
meet
inevitable,
others.
Pat. It's inevitable with seniors. They're just like kindergartners when it
Right,
comes to
yeah.
that, their own little niche that they're comfortable
Yeah,
with.
but you
And,
still, by the time
you say
end
hello
it,
to
you-
everybody.
Yeah, you do.
You'll meet everybody.
Yeah, because, well, of course, with Marina, because she makes sure we all get involved with
Right.
our little games and stuff.
Well, she carries that big whip too, you know. And you don't have to get over there or else.
She
terrible.
encourages inclusiveness, and that really makes a big difference.
Well, with both the barn and the park district, you're able to do a day outing, and they provide the transportation. So
Yeah.
other than getting there, you don't have to worry, oh, they're going into Chicago. Oh, do I want to drive in Chicago? No, just sit back in the bus and let the driver.
You know, that's what I prefer too, and we're very fortunate that we have different facilities for, like the library has trips, now Marina has trips, the CRC has trips.
Yes.
It's marvelous that you have all these options.
If you can't get public transportation or something, you'll find that the people at these facilities will drive you. Somebody will help you.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. Well, we had a wonderful little tete-a-tete today about our driving or lack of driving skills currently. And may your life be blessed with health, happiness, and joy. And we would love to see you at the barn. Please call Marina at 847-524-7496 to make a reservation. Even better, sign up any day before coming by and stopping in to look over the menu. May God bless all, and may we see you at the barn soon, so you can enjoy it as much as we do. Thank you, and have a nice, warm summer.
All right.